In this video, we'll be hunting 2 boxes of pennies, as well as seeing if we can make any progress to the Penny Hunt and Fill album. Of course, we'll be looking for any wheat scents from 1958 or older. We'll also be looking for any proofs, foreigns, heirs or varieties, or any other cool things we can find, as well as setting aside any copper pennies we get and seeing how much we can fill up the copper jar. I have already checked for enders for these 2 boxes, and we do have 1 ender per box. Box number 2, we do have just a modern Canadian ender right there. And in box number 1, we do have a wheat scent ender right there near the end of the box. So a couple of enders is definitely great to see. So let's start the hunt on penny box number 1, and I'll bring you in when we have our first find. Roll 4, and I just uncovered the first wheat scent of the hunt, and it is from the 40s. It's pretty worn, but it is 1946 from San Francisco. Roll 8, and I just uncovered wheat scent number 2. It's the first one from the 50s, 1956, out of Denver. Roll 10, just uncovered the third wheat scent of the hunt. This one is another one from the 50s. This time we have a 1953 from Philly. Next roll, we're going to have another wheat scent. So this is going to be the 4th wheat scent in only 11 rolls, which is a great start to the hunt. It's another one from the 50s, 1954, out of Denver. Roll 24, it's not another wheat scent, but I did just find a mint error. I almost threw it in the copper pile and didn't miss it, but I did just catch it. We have a 1979 Denver with a clip planchet, as you can see on the bottom left right there. That is definitely a clip planchet, and you can see the weak strike on the rim, 180 degrees opposite side. See it on the reverse as well, so have not found a clip planchet in a pretty long time. It's in decent shape, although it's brown, but that is a clip planchet found. That's a pretty cool find. Roll 34. We're finally going to have another wheat scent. It's been over 20 rolls since our last wheat scent after the hot start to the box, so it definitely cooled down. But wheat scent number 5 for the box is 1951 from Denver. Roll 36. It's not another wheat scent, but we're finally going to get the first Canadian of the box. No Canadians until now, which is very odd. But I already looked at the date, and I bring you in because it is going to be a Younghead Canadian. 1957, Younghead Canadian, first Canadian of the box in roll 36. That's an awesome find. Roll 37, the second to last coin of the roll, is going to be another wheat scent. The end of the box seems to be heating up like it was at the beginning, not like the slow middle, but this wheat scent is 1950 out of Denver. Just opened roll 44, and I see the edge of wheat scent number 7 for the box. This might be the first reverse facing wheat scent we found in this whole box. We can actually do a date reveal finally. Looks like it's been cleaned or damaged or something, but it is 1946 out of Denver. Roll 45, just uncovered another wheat scent, so this is going to be number 8 for the box. With the ender, we're guaranteed at least 9. If we can get one more, then we can get 10, which would be awesome. But wheat scent number 8 is in 1957 out of Denver. Just opened roll 46, and we are going to get double-digit wheat scents for the box because we have that ender coming up in a few rolls. And we're going to get another one in this roll for number 9. We're also a Canadian in the roll as well, which I'll take you out just because I have you here. It's just a 1981, but the wheat scent is 4 coins in the front. And it is a 1948 out of Denver. Roll 49 was our wheat scent ender. Just opened the roll. We're going to get a Canadian as well, which I'll pull you out first. And the Canadian is a modern one, 2006 wheat scent ender. It's right here. This is going to be wheat scent number 10 for the box, and it's going to be another 1957 out of Denver. First penny box has been hunted, and it was a pretty good box. We ended up with 10 wheat scents, even though the middle of the box was slow. Still ended up with double digits, which I'll definitely take. No older ones, and our oldest was just at 1946, but still, I'll definitely take 10 wheat scents. Also ended up with 5 Canadian scents as well, all found near the end, with a couple of good ones, a 1957 Younghead, and a 1969 that's actually in pretty good shape. And the coolest find of the box, in my opinion, was that 1979 Denver with a clip planchet. Not the biggest clip planchet, but still clip planchet nonetheless, and that is a cool mint air to find. Hadn't found in quite a while. Super cool to find that. It's definitely a great first box for the hunt, so now we're going to move on to box number 2 with the Canadian ender, and I'll bring you in on the first find of the second box. Roll 14, We're finally going to have the first find of box number 2. It's going to be the first Wheatson of the box, and it is the oldest one of the hunt so far, in 1942, out of Denver. Roll 17. We're still yet to get the second Wheatson for box 2, but I opened the roll, I saw the edge of a Canadian, already looked at the date, it's going to be the second young head of the hunt. This one is just a common last year, 1964, but it's still a great find. Roll 23. I'd finally just uncovered the second Wheatson of box number 2. I missed it when I opened the roll because it is absolutely covered in gunk. Terrible condition, but Wheatson 2 for box 2. Looks to be probably 1942 out of Philly. Roll 25, halfway point of the hunt. We're going to have another Wheatson because I did just open this roll. I see the edge of the Wheatson right there near the middle. This is going to be the third Wheatson of the second box, and it is a 1955 out of Denver. Roll 27, just uncovered another Wheatson. This one is going to be the first pre-40s of the hunt. It's a 1938 out of Philly. Do already have the one for the album. It's a pretty common one, but it is our first pre-40s Wheatson, which is an awesome find. Just took roll 43 out of the box. You can see it's one of the ones where that little cardboard circle stayed in there, and I do check for enders on the bottom, but with the ones with the cardboard circle, I can't see it, obviously. Took it out of the box and flipped it over. We do have a Wheatson ender in the box. That's awesome. I'll open the roll and show you what it is. Just opened the roll, and even though the box has been slow, we're going to have 3 finds in this roll. We have the ender, of course, and further back in the roll, I see another Wheatson right next to a Canadian. Pull these 2 out first since I already know the date of the Wheatson. It's a 1950 Denver, and that is Wheatson number 5 of the box. Canadian is just going to be a modern one, 1992 commemorative. Now, we'll get out the Wheatson ender. It's 6 Wheatsons in this box. Not the hottest box, but we'll take it. And it's in pretty nice shape. It's a 1951 out of Denver. Both penny boxes have been hunted, so let's go over the finds. We only ended up with 5 1959s, as well as 17 estimates, and 25 2009s. Foreigns all were Canadian, and we ended up with 14 for the hunt, including a few nicer older ones. We got a pretty nice 1969, which could upgrade my Canadian album, and 2 young heads as well, a 1957 and a 1964, which are always cool to find. Now, for the Wheatsons, we only ended up with 16 for the 2 boxes, which is an average of 8 per box. Slightly less than I like to get, but we'll still definitely take a hunt with 16 Wheatsons. Pretty much all of them are common, and we did get 1 pre-40s, 1938 out of Philly. Don't need it for the album, but always great to find an older Wheatson. Next, my favorite find of the hunt was that 1979 Denver Clip Planchet. Not in the best shape, but pretty nice overall, probably about an AU condition. Not the biggest clip either, but I don't find clip planchets very often at all. Pretty rare to find, and even though it's probably only worth a couple bucks, still a super cool find for the hunt. Lastly, for copper, we did pretty well, although slightly less than I usually get. Probably filled about 75% of the jar, which even though it's a little less than I get, I'll definitely take that. So pretty good on that as well. I don't know if we're going to have any progress to the album for the hunt. I'll have to look through the Wheatsons and see if we can make any additions or upgrades, so I'll bring you back with an update for the album once I've gone through all the finds. Just finished going through the finds, and unfortunately, as I expected, in this episode we made no progress to the album, no additions, no upgrades, but we have gotten pretty lucky in the last few episodes, I will say, so it's pretty okay to get a few normal boxes, and it is harder to be adding on coins to the album the further we get in the series, but there is still a few that shouldn't be too hard to get. Do still have a few in the 40s and 50s, as you can see. Just harder to get San Francisco mints, but I thought I would have found it by now. Definitely on the lookout for those for sure. And of course, all the pre-40s, a little tougher to get, especially the ones with mint marks, but we'll get them further along the series, hopefully. Anyways, even though we didn't get a ton of finds in this episode, we did get that pretty cool Clip Planchet mint error. So I hope you enjoyed the video. This was a fun Penny Hunt and Phil episode.